Bookish Beauties! It's January, and the start of a new year traditionally leads to a lot of things like resolutions and cleaning of the house, and fresh starts and new beginnings, and snow and ice and cold. I've seen lots of Unhaul videos popping up all over the place lately, so I thought, why not jump on board and do my own Unhaul video? And so, without further ado, here are the books I am unhauling. So here's the thing. I have a massive book collection. You can see some of it. These are only two of my bookshelves. I've got two more just like this, two more over there, and then I have stacks and stacks and stacks of books everywhere that don't have a home because I need to get more bookshelves. Probably two more like this to stack on top. Haven't decided yet. But the point is, I collect books. Most of the books that I own I haven't read yet. Tend to do this thing where I buy them and then I'll just go to the library and get them on audiobook or something, and then don't read the books that I own or just buy more. I really don't get rid of books, like, almost ever. I will loan them out on occasion if it's somebody that I trust, somebody that won't crack the spine or lose the book. And even then, I've been burned. I think there are still many of my books floating out in the netherworld that I probably will never get back. I've even bought a book that I have already read, just so that I could have it on my shelf. There's something about looking at my books, especially the ones that I've read, and seeing the titles. I do the same thing in a bookstore. It's like, I see the books, and I remember the story, and I remember the great experience that I had reading that story, and I recall the characters, and it's sort of like looking through pictures on your phone or on Facebook. You just have good memories, and my books are a physical reminder of some really good memories and really great times. Walking through a bookstore is sort of like visiting a bunch of old friends. It's like, hey, how you doing? Oh, I remember our time together, and it was so great, and I miss you. What have you been up to lately? Oh, you have the sequel? Oh my gosh, I can't believe that. That is amazing. We should totally hang out sometime. Now, here's this thing that happens on occasion. I will own a book and read it. That's not the part I meant happens on occasion. But sometimes I won't like the book that I own and have read. So what do you do then? I don't necessarily want to put it on my bookshelf. If I have a friend I know that wants to read it, I would probably very easily give that book away. But that's not the case most times. If I read a book and don't like it, I usually don't want to pawn that off on one of my friends because that's mean. So in that case, there are a few things that I do. The most common by far is a website called Paperback Swap. This is a really great site where you create an account, you list the books that you have that you're willing to swap, you get credits when somebody requests one of your books and you mail it out after they've received it and all that. Then you use the credits to buy books from other people. You can use them to buy new books too, but then you have to also pay a little bit of money, but it makes it cheaper. So even though I am technically getting rid of a book, I'm getting a book in return. I really don't see how you can go wrong with that. It's kind of a win-win for everybody. They're getting a book that they want, I'm getting a book that I want. And I only paid the price of shipping for the one book, which is usually like $2 or $3 depending on the book. The other thing that I will do on occasion, this is usually if it's a book that just like I really haven't been able to swap, nobody really wants it, or maybe it's like a technical book, like a software book for software that's really out of date and nobody's gonna want it. I will keep them and craft with them. I know that people have different opinions about this, but I have made lots of bookish creations. I have made Christmas ornaments. I decorated an entire table once with lots of different book covered things. Here you can see the candle holder, little paper flowers that I made just as decorations, and the grand master centerpiece, this tree of books coming to life. I've made bookmarks, I've made picture frames, I've made keychains, I've made all sorts of things. Some of them I sell on my Etsy store, some of them I give as gifts, some of them become my home decorations. But it's really great to have books to craft with, and there is no way I'm gonna cut up a book that I love or even like a little bit. Luckily, I've got some friends that work at the library, and on occasion they'll get rid of things like reference books. Really old, outdated books that are just gonna go in the trash. So I rescue them from the trash and turn them into something beautiful. I'm in the middle of one of those projects where you sort of cut the pages out of the book to hide things like your modal min router, and I'll finish that at some point and probably show you guys, because it's hopefully going to look really cool and it'll just look like this stack of really pretty books instead of electronic gadgets beeping and flashing and doing their thing. But really what it comes down to, I just love being in the presence of books. If I need a pick-me-up at Walmart, I will stroll through the book aisle. I will wander around a Barnes & Noble just for fun. I will sit here amongst my books in this comfy little chair, and I'll just look at the titles and I'll think about what the book might be about. I'll look at books that I've read and remember their stories, and it just makes me feel better. The presence of books just feels good. So I see it as a collection. It takes a lot for me to let even one book out of my tight little grip. And so that is why this grand unhauling video is really not. I know if you live in a smaller place, you might not have the luxury of being able to keep hundreds and hundreds of books on your shelves, and I appreciate that I have that luxury. I have an entire room in my place dedicated to that, which I call my library, and I love it. But I've lived places where it would have been really hard to have all these books. I don't know what I would have done, so I get it if you just don't have the space, and that makes sense. So, what do you guys think? Do you have lots of books? Do you get rid of them often? Are there books that you think, I'm just never gonna read this? Are you doing your own unhaul this year? Tell me in the comments below. Thanks for watching!